I'm the Community and Organizational Development Manager with Mille Lacs County. A big thing of just building that relationship and being known that I'm there.
And I'm similar role for Sherburne County, so I'm the Economic Development Coordinator for Sherburne County. While we don't have community development as a job title or anyone specifically doing that, it falls under a lot of what I'm already doing.
Big umbrella of
Yeah.
how to develop the community and make the whole community better.
Definitely more of like that community livability.
And we've done one-on-one business visits with over 100 businesses in the last year.
And one thing that is constantly brought up in our group is childcare. So like they know how to take care of our babies.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they want to do. That's what they're good at. But they don't know how to run that successful business portion.
We actually have our own business lab. We contract with business consultants. And so anyone in Sherburne County can get free business consulting through our business consultants. So we work really closely with the school districts too.
Okay.
On that workforce development track.
Are you a business owner or thinking about starting your own business? Then you are not going to want to miss today's podcast. Today we talk to Laini Hoskins from Mille Lacs County and Brian Fleming from Sherburne County, and we talk about all things economic development, community development, tourism, and more. You don't want to miss it.
Welcome to the Princeton Podcast, your go-to source for everything happening in and around Princeton. Join your hosts, Zach, Mary, and Kim, three locals who live and work right here in Princeton, as we bring you the latest events, exclusive interviews with local businesses, and stories that make our town special. Your community, your stories, your podcast.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We are excited to have you guys on and learn more about the economic development of the county. For those listeners that don't know what the economic development director usually does, do you guys want to just explain a little bit about your role?
Because you guys are each in different counties,
We
but
are.
both serve Princeton.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So my name is Laini Hoskins. I'm the Community and Organizational Development Manager with Mille Lacs County. So it looks a little bit different on my side of things. I kind of have two different roles with community development and then organizational development. For community development, it's really being involved in our communities. We work together closely with our cities, building relationships there, and then have funding resources, business program resources. So we're kind of a person that connects the dots for businesses looking to come into Mille Lacs County or to expand in Mille Lacs County. Biggest thing is just knowing that I'm there.
Right. Because there wasn't a person in your position for quite some time.
Right.
Yeah.
Almost probably close to a year.
Okay.
That the space was vacant. So, it's been a big thing of just building that relationship and being known that I'm there.
And it's really nice because when there's a person that is out in talking to businesses and because, at the county level, when you want to talk to someone about something, it's sometimes you just don't know who to go to. So
Totally.
when we have the two of you that you're our contact person and you can kind of direct people that way, it's really nice.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. And I'm similar role for Sherburne County, so I'm the Economic Development Coordinator for Sherburne County. You'll notice the badge says a different title, so then I'm the Executive Director of our EDA board, our Economic Development Authority Board. So depending on who I talk to, it's a different title. But same economic development for Sherburne County. A little different than Laini is that doesn't encompass the community development side, so it's strictly economic development. So really the way I explain it to folks is I'm that county liaison, kind of like you said, that point person to do a lot of that dot connecting for businesses. And we like to say anything that makes Sherburne County the county of choice for business and residents, that can fall under what I do. So we've gone through some strategic planning lately, and we've narrowed it down to 6 subsections of six sub areas that I can focus on for my position. So a lot of it is working with businesses, making sure that those that want to create businesses know how to, those that are already there can expand. But then it also does include housing and childcare and transportation. So all the other holistic things that go into a thriving community.
So what would be, a lot of times you see the community and economic development fall under the same person's role. What are the differences between there? Because do you have a separate person that does community development, or how does that, it'd be nice to kind of understand the difference between the two.
That's a great question.
That's a great question.
And I would say that while we don't have community development as a job title or anyone specifically doing that, it falls under a lot of what I'm already doing. Oftentimes community development goes into the housing space a little bit more, as well as some other areas a little bit more. I mean, you might be able to speak on that better than me, but I know we're looking into doing a community development authority, and that would include a little bit more housing side.
Yeah, and I would say, so the role before at Mille Lacs County was economic development, and then they changed that to be community development. I would say each county operates so differently.
Right.
And I think that's like the biggest thing. Sherburne County is vastly different than Mille Lacs County. You have a larger industrial side of business. We're more of that small town, small businesses, which are the backbone. And so it's kind of maybe a different focus as far as how we support those businesses and how we support our communities with growth.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. Princeton is in such a unique situation because we're on the edge of both of your counties. So we're on the most southern edge of Mille Lacs and the most northern edge of Sherburne.
Yeah.
And so it is.
Where is the split? Is it the hospital or the Northland Drive?
That's a good approximation.
Sort of, yeah.
Yes. Yep.
So the school is in Mille Lacs County.
But the parking
Okay.
lot in the back is Sherburne.
Sherburne.
Okay.
It kind of runs
Yeah.
at a diagonal. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just really unique, and I know the school district serves Mille Lacs, Sherburne, Benton, Isani,
Lots
so
of them.
we're
Yeah.
just in this central area where we're, and then I think that's another thing is people might not know who to contact or who's best to, deal with this, and if you're on the line, and
Yeah.
because Coburn's in Mille Lacs County?
No, they're Sherburne.
There's Sherburne. Okay, yeah, it's okay, so there's the line there.
And that's something that's important to us, that we're working well together, because if we're working with a business that's on that line or just over, then I may have to say, you'll want to work with Laini on this. I can still work with you on some other things because you still are in Princeton and we still care about the whole city of Princeton. We have the same conversations with the city of St. Cloud. They're in 3 counties, so we do that coordination as well. And Elk River is right down there on the edge of our county too. So Elk River is very much Sherburne County, but just over is Otsego, and I know the Elk River Chamber has a lot of Otsego businesses, so we have that same conversation. So we look at the county limits, but why would our businesses? That's not as important to them. So it's
Right.
incumbent on us to have that good communication.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Totally.
And so you guys work together a lot because of that, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We communicate
Yeah.
frequently. So,
Yeah.
Especially with these businesses in Princeton and
Right.
these border towns.
Yes, definitely.
So do all cities have an economic development director?
Not all cities.
Okay.
I wouldn't even say all counties probably.
Right.
Oh,
Ye-
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think most counties do have some version of economic development. If you type in that county economic development in whatever search bar, you'll probably get some variation, but there are definitely some that don't.
Yeah.
Stearns County is one that doesn't have any economic development person role.
Really?
But a lot of cities do, and so a lot of the larger cities do. So for Sherburne County, St. Cloud, Becker, Big Lake, Elk River, do, and Princeton does as well.
And then they
That's
kind of,
surprising.
the most I've seen is that it's kind of combined with the community and economic development. And when you say housing and stuff, I guess I now can see where community development is more general, like it's such a big umbrella of
Yeah.
how to develop the community and make the whole community better.
Yeah. Definitely more of like that community livability.
Yes, community livability,
Yes,
exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Interesting. I'm shocked that not all counties have one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like somebody wears that hat.
Yeah.
But maybe not necessarily has
Oftentimes,
Like that person to go to.
Yeah.
Oftentimes they'll roll up to the county administrator or
Yeah.
something like that. So there is someone, they definitely care about the businesses in their county, even if they don't have a person for that role. But we have found in Sherburne County it is helpful to have a person kind of here saying, I'm your point person, a point of contact for all businesses. And then we can direct them out. Oftentimes, their question is more of a public works question if it deals with transportation, or a planning and zoning question. So I work, I'm sure you do too, very closely with all of our departments. So we're kind of internally the dot connector to make sure we're answering the question well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So we've had Stacy, who does that for Princeton,
Yes.
on before, and we've talked about how a business can just come into Princeton and she wouldn't necessarily even know that they're
Yeah.
coming in. So how do you handle that I mean, does that happen to you at a county level as well?
Most of them come in at cities, right, where the development is happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely does happen. There's sometimes I've gotten phone calls of, hey, by the way, I'm doing this. It's like, oh, great, thanks for letting us know.
Yeah.
Okay, and then that conversation happens. So it's really just kind of them outreaching. I try to be aware of what's happening, and then if I see something, I make a point to go and introduce myself or send out some information. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that Mille Lacs has seen that as well. They'll have a new business. And it's funny, we had a new business come into Mille Lacs, and the mayor came to me and was like, hey, do you know anything about this business? I said, no, I don't.
Yeah.
But let's go find out.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Because they can, they maybe are renting space in a mall
Right,
or,
right.
Yeah.
something like that where they don't have to get any kind of permits or,
Right.
and just kind of go do their thing.
Which that shocked me.
Yeah.
When we
Yeah,
first
yeah.
had
it is kind of
Stacey on.
surprising.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
that you don't have to.
Yeah, there's no flag necessarily, at least in Minnesota, where you have to do a city license for a business necessarily. The city does care, but there's no flag that says, oh, there's a new business coming
Yeah.
into town. They file with the Secretary of State, and that's the only indication. So if they're doing it correctly and actually filing the business, which a lot of people don't know that they need to do that.
Yep.
Yep.
But if they're doing that, that's where we can start to pull data. So I know we're trying to pull more data from the Secretary of State website. I know that in the last month, I've been in my role for a little over a year, and we've done one-on-one business visits with over 100 businesses in the last year, and I started
Nice.
feeling good about
Wow.
100 businesses.
Uh-huh.
And we're starting to pull the Secretary of State data, and it looks like we're well over 7,000 businesses in Sherburne County.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we're barely scratching the
Uh-huh.
surface. I'm one person, Lainey's one person.
Yeah.
We do what we can, but unless a business reaches out to us, there's a high likelihood that they'll fly under the radar, or the city will have a closer pulse on what they're doing, or the
Okay.
township.
So for those of our listeners that are thinking of maybe having a business, what would the benefits be to contact you initially?
Go ahead.
I know for me, I love meeting with people early because there are some clear steps they should do when they form their business to keep themselves out of early trouble. So I like to, if they want to sit one-on-one with me, we'll sit down with them and go through what it looks like to incorporate in Minnesota as a business, whether you're looking at an LLC or sole proprietorship or doing business as, and what all those mean. So kind of being a liaison to the Secretary of State and saying, trying to interpret some of that. And then going through and getting their Minnesota tax ID, their EIN number, so some of those basic things. But in addition to that, actually having a conversation of what is your business idea and having some of those early entrepreneurship conversations of, do you really need to have a brick and mortar store and invest $50,000 into a brick and mortar and try and find that? Or can we start you out at a farmer's market? Can we start you out at a craft fair and see if people even want what you're selling, get that early stage feedback so that they're not dumping money into a brick and mortar. We see them launch, everyone's excited, and then 2 months
Yeah.
later they collapse.
Yeah.
We want to avoid that. So I'm very happy when they actually think to reach out to the county early in the process.
Yeah, definitely. And we have a lot of resources to offer them. We know of things that they don't necessarily know about, and we can say, hey, they might come up and say, I really, really am looking at this building. This is where I want to go into, but I don't necessarily have all the financing. We can say, hey, we know of some gap lenders.
Right.
So, kind of putting the puzzle pieces together for them too. I think it's just a huge support role and getting them connected with the right things.
And I should say, too, and it probably happens for Mille Lacs County, too, but Sherburne County is just on the outer edge of the Twin City Metro, and so sometimes we're included in that and sometimes not. So if people are Googling entrepreneurship support, it often slants toward the Twin Cities, and oftentimes those organizations don't serve out in Sherburne County. So we actually have our own business lab. We contract with business consultants, and so anyone in Sherburne County can get free business consulting through our business consultants. So in addition to me, there's actual, business consultants that do it day in and day out.
And there's no charge.
And no charge
Really?
for anyone in Sherburne County. And then we also work very closely with the small business development centers. Ours is based out of St. Cloud State, and that's also free, no-charge business consulting. And there's at least 2 other agencies that offer free business consulting. So I do say to entrepreneurs early, if you feel like you're drowning, you're probably an entrepreneur. And entrepreneurs often drown, they don't starve. There's almost too many resources, and so it's kind of our job to navigate through those resources and say, start here, then go here, and then go here, and then you can kind of decide from there. But
one thing that is, I think, so helpful to hear this is it's one of our businesses said this at a networking meeting one morning, and it just really stuck with me. And she said she owns a speech therapy business, and she said, I'm a speech therapist. That's what I have my degree in. That's what I'm good at. That's what I do. I'm not a business person. So to learn the whole side of having to do QuickBooks and all business taxes and all these other things, that is a challenge. And so to know that those resources are there for people, because that's, I think, often what happens, that you're not
expecting all of that.
Yeah, I mean, she's doing what she's really good at.
Yep.
And giving this needed service, but then there's this business side of it that is not her forte.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she still has to do it.
Right. Mm-hmm. We see that a lot with childcare. Mm-hmm. And so Brian and I, we are both part of MAPSED, which is a group of Minnesota economic developers on the county level. And we collaborate all the time. Hey, what are you doing? How's it going for you over here? And one thing that is constantly brought up in our group is childcare. Yep. And that's a huge thing, right? So they know how to take care of our babies. Mm-hmm. That's what they want to do. That's what they're good at. But they don't know how to run that successful business portion. Mm-hmm. So, we even have resources. We can connect them with businesses or agencies that specifically support childcare and show you different business models, how to use different programs to be successful with that actual business piece of it.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and I feel like people don't know about that.
Right, exactly. And that's part of our job too, is just doing these types of things to actually get out there and say, hey, we're here, we exist, we want to help. And childcare is a great example of there are very clear agencies, so we work very closely with Milestones, we work very closely with First Children's Finance, because those are agencies geared toward helping childcare in-home providers and childcare centers operate as a business and taking their business seriously and making sure that they are successful on that side too.
And that's, childcare is a whole nother conversation. I mean, it's needed so much, and maybe that's a reason for somebody might not want to, completely go into that. Sorry about that. Because of that business side, that they're just not comfortable with it or whatever. So to know that there's resources out there is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and it can be intimidating for sure. I mean, if you don't know that or have that sense of feeling of confident within actual business paperwork, it is paperwork, right?
Right.
And making sure that you're doing things on time, et cetera. So it can be very intimidating for people, but we're here to support and get them with the right resources.
And you're here for businesses that, let's say that they've been in business for 4 years. And they just need help, or they're I'm not sure if I did this right, or it's never too late.
Right.
Yeah, never too late. And the free consulting is for any age of business. It doesn't have to be our early stage entrepreneurship. And I know for our county too, we have our revolving loan fund. So that's gap financing, secondary financing for businesses that are maybe they're doing well and they want to expand, or they want to. We see a lot of businesses that are leasing their space and actually want to buy it from the owner, and they have to take out a pretty sizable bank loan to do that. We can come in as secondary financing, so instead of them having to put 10% down, say, for that bank loan, it drops them closer to 4 or 5%. So you can keep more cash on hand for the business. And for us, it's just directly tied to job growth. If you can show us that 3-year expansion, you're going to have a sizable job growth and maintain your employees, that's what we want to see. We want to see continued job growth. So that's some of the programs we have for our more established businesses.
Very cool. Then Laini and I met briefly not long ago about tourism, and it more and more that is sort of going hand in hand with what you both are doing. And in fact, I was sharing with Laini that I had met with our regional director for Explore Minnesota, and Explore Minnesota is moving that direction toward economic development because it all rolls together.
It really does.
To make a community strong. And so I think it's exciting that you're taking that on. That might be was a little stressful for you, but I really think it's a great match. And I know it's an additional role. So with that, my next question for you both would be, what kind of projects do you have going on right now in your counties that you're working on in economic development?
Yeah, glad you brought it up because tourism is part of another hat with the county as well as with the tourism with Mille Lacs. But so at the county level, I have been focusing on showing off our county. I think we have a beautiful county, and I think we should be super proud of it. So I've been working on showing that off and really aiming towards that tourism. We do have the Sioux Line Trail on our north end. We have 20 miles of the Sioux Line Trail, and last April, we were regionally designated. So that was really exciting. We have a master trail plan. We've been regionally designated. In July, we applied for funding, and we just last week learned that we've been awarded $600,000 for part of the Sioux Line Trail. So we're really excited for that.
Very exciting.
Yes. So we'll be working on resurfacing and just trail enhancements over, the upcoming years. So we're really excited about that. We're going to continue to look for those funding opportunities. And then we're in talks with the Great Northern Trail too. So the whole goal of that is to go from Elk River all the way up to Mille Lacs.
Oh, I just can't
that'd be
wait until that happens.
Yeah, it's
someday.
really exciting. Right now it's in Zimmerman. So now our next phase is planning, doing the study to get to Princeton and then keep going. So
That would be
very
so cool.
exciting.
Very.
And that goes with the community livability, right? Like, and people are active. They want that lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it's very, it's very intriguing to people.
Yeah.
And they want it. They want to see
access
it.
to-
They want access,
Yep.
yeah. And it's unique because Mille Lacs County, we definitely are a unique county. And like so the Sioux Line Trail is more for ATV, UTV, but we do have a portion of it that is paved as well, and that's for your walkers, joggers, and bikers. So, and we have a connecting trail to get into Father Hennepin right off of the Sioux Line, so we have our state parks up there. And then similarly with the Great Northern Trail, most of it on the southern end is right for your walkers, bikers, and but then we have sorry about that.
Yeah, mine are the same.
But then when we get up towards the north end, getting into Mille Lacs, we're looking at that ATV section to be there too. So
Well, and the Great Northern Trail it kind of brings up some tourism opportunities too.
Yeah.
Because if you have people traveling through your communities, what could you offer them to hop off their bikes there or whatever
Yeah.
it might be when they're traveling,
Yeah.
through. I know my husband, when it's not winter, he loads up his bike, goes to Zimmerman, hops on the trail, and then rides to Elk River. And he was riding with a couple other guys, and they would go every Sunday and then go to a coffee shop in Elk River, and that was kind of their Sunday thing, and
that
then
is so fun.
Yeah, so it's another kind of opportunity to offer people to stay in your community for a little while.
Yeah.
So
No, that's exactly right. And I'm glad you mentioned the Great Northern Trail because we're very proud of the work there. And our parks director, Gina Hugo, does a lot of great work on our park side with that. And I'd say as far as different projects that Sherburne County Economic Development is focusing on, we're launching into a big marketing branding campaign of saying, hey, specifically businesses that are more into the Twin City Metro, if you're kind of tired of being in that area and the rat race down there, you can come on out to Sherburne County because we are close enough that most of your current employees would be able to commute, no problem. It's 30 minutes to 45 minutes depending on where you're talking about. And most of our cities have open land available. They're willing to work with developers. They're willing to work with our businesses. Big Lake has a business park. Becker does. Elk River. And so we have a lot of business opportunity. And so we're in the process of launching a campaign of saying that Sherburne County is where opportunity awaits is our tagline. And we have jobs, businesses, and homes. And we're actually in the process of developing some billboard templates and putting up some billboards to really start drawing that attention in. And we're developing a separate economic development website, which isn't live yet, but it will be soon. It will be SherburneBiz.com, B-I-Z.com.
Okay.
And that will really be targeted toward are businesses that are outside the county looking for Sherburne County and saying, why would we choose Sherburne County? And it's a lot of what we've already talked about. It's the nature, it's the parks.
Yeah.
We have a lot of housing development. And on the workforce side, Sherburne County is still the 5th fastest growing county in Minnesota.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. And so countywide, that's projected at a little bit over 10% growth going into 2030. So we're continuing to grow at about 10% every 5 years. And so that's a great workforce for any business that wants to come
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Do you ever see any opportunity to, I don't know, maybe this is a thing of the past, where you have people who work out of their homes and need a meeting space or, that just, I work with a lot of people in that situation where they just need to meet up with somebody and they're not going to bring them into their homes. And it's like a work, what am I trying to say? You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what I do. Like I
Yeah.
have to find, let's meet up at Caribou or
Yes.
let's meet.
Like a co-working space.
Thank you, a co-working
Yeah.
space. That's what I
Yeah.
was trying to say. Yeah. Do you guys see a need for that anymore? Or
It's a good question. I know we have a few co-working spaces in the county. Top of mind in Big Lake is Lupulin Brewing. They have a side area that is open to the general public during their business hours, and you can be a business that if you're a home business and you want to break from
Yeah.
home, you can come there, and they have a Keurig set up, and it's
Okay.
from my understanding, a free co-working space, and you can take some meetings there. Well, that's an element for economic development too. Is we know when we look at the Secretary of State's listing of all of our filed, it's a lot of LLCs, and so that's a lot of people working from their home as a side gig. We want to help them to know that we are here to help them move into that commercial space when they're ready and move out of the house. And there's a lot of benefits of moving out of the house into a commercial space and taking your business seriously as your full-time thing and helping you to get to that point so that you're successful when you do that.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know of any that have asked for that. I mean, I have had where there's been some need of collaborating, like getting people together, and I've offered, conference rooms at
Yeah.
but not necessarily like just the one business owner reaching out like, hey, is there a space? But for sure, I think coffee shops are well utilized for that.
I think so too. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
become the thing. Yeah.
And if people knew about places that, like if they knew about Lupulin and,
Yeah, yeah.
I would. I mean, there's none
Yeah.
in Princeton, is there?
Not
I
that I'm
mean,
aware of.
the
I know
coffee
that
shops.
it came up through the chamber before I started here. I just remember hearing about it. And, having a place where people could just, have their own little cubicle if they wanted it. And even somebody would be there. Like you said, there'd be, coffee and, whatnot. And somebody would even be there,
Yeah.
from like the chamber or whatever to sort of,
I love the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's whether or not it's, a needed thing or if people would rather go to coffee shops. I don't know.
Sometimes I just have to go and get out of my house.
Exactly.
Like I don't have a meeting, but I just need
Wanna
a
work
different
somewhere else.
environment
Yep.
than my house.
That's how I am too. Actually, like that's if I'm kind of sick of looking at my walls in my
Yeah.
office, it's like, all right, I'm just gonna work from home. Like I need a new scenery. Like I don't. It's true though. Like,
It is.
And sometimes when you get out of that element, like just a fresh,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel more motivated. And
Yeah.
Stuff. So I
And
like that idea.
We like that it really supports our local coffee shops. I know
Right,
that
exactly.
I've frequented on multiple occasions meeting people instead of meeting at their home, which seems very invasive, to go to a coffee shop and meet with them about their home business. There's Dueling Brews in Becker. There's Ember Coffee in Big Lake. There's the Edge Coffee Bar in Elk River. And, of course, the Caribou's throughout and Starbucks throughout as well.
Yep.
So we have lots of options, and, of course, right here in Princeton. So we are set coffee-wise, and at least they're getting the business. If somebody
Yep.
is, it
Right.
should be our small businesses.
Yeah,
That's
'cause
right.
You're
Yeah.
not going to go there and not, order something.
Right.
But that's something to even bring up, like to Sunken Ship, like Lupulin does, is they have that side room and they're
Yeah.
always, it's for free and they're always saying, come use it, rent it. Maybe that's something they could do during the early hours of their opening,
Yeah. For like
during the week.
meetings or networking.
Yep.
Networking things.
Yeah, exactly.
I know I would take advantage of that.
Yeah.
If there were places. I often ask her sometimes, like, can I just come sit in there?
Yeah, exactly.
Just for a different.
It's not a bad idea to create a listing, though, of different meeting places that people can consider.
Exactly.
If that's a need.
Yeah, that's a really good
Support our
idea
businesses.
because there are to support our businesses and help out our LLCs.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I
a
like
great
that
idea.
idea.
Yeah. Well, should we take a quick break here? I don't know where we are on time.
Yeah.
So-
Remember when you had to make several trips into the house with $300 worth of groceries, and now you can pretty much get them all in the house on one arm? Well, at Mike's Discounts Foods, they're slashing prices, not quality. Since 1989, they've helped Minnesota families stretch their food dollars with name brand groceries, fresh produce, dairy, meat, and frozen food, all at prices you'll smile about. So whether you're stocking up for the week or feeding the whole crew, shop Mike's Discount Foods right in Princeton.
So we're back here, and we're talking economic development with Sherburne and Mille Lacs County. And earlier we talked about childcare, which there's a real need. And I know even a lot of times businesses they can't find workers because of childcare. So there's kind of some creative things that are going on there too. But what are you guys doing in that area to help people?
Sure. So our probably biggest thing that we're pushing on the economic development side is we have worked closely in-house between economic development, our health and human services, and our public works, our GIS specialists, to create a map of Sherburne County. And you can access the map. So right now, the map itself kind of has a long URL address. So we always tell people if you just Google Sherburne County Childcare Availability Map, it will pop up. It's both on the economic development page and our health and human services page. But it's a map that parents and caretakers can go to, and it shows all of Sherburne County. It shows all of our child care providers as little dots on the map. But more importantly than that, on the right-hand side, parents can search for the availability that they need. And it's broken down by age brackets, which is how child care is usually done. So let's say the parent moved in and they need one infant spot and one toddler spot like yesterday.
Right.
So they go on our map, they put in one toddler and one infant, and then on the map, it changes, and only the providers that actually have that availability display back on the map.
Wow.
That is awesome. I mean, I'm on social media all day because I do marketing for small businesses, and I see all the time on community boards, like in desperate need of childcare, like
Yes.
a 2-year-old and an infant, or they're asking the community where they could just go and
kind of a one-stop shopping.
and
area.
find
Yes.
something like right away.
That's
And
amazing.
That's one thing when I jumped into this role last year, did a lot of research on our childcare, and you always hear there's a deficit. And that's true. We don't have enough childcare providers. That will always be true. But we also questioned, do all of our providers, are they 100% full?
Right.
And this is our way of answering that question. No, they're not. There's actually some availability for our providers here. Infant's always a hard one, and
Yep.
we know that people are calling providers even before they start trying
Yes,
to get pregnant,
uh-huh.
and that's a big deal. So we want, I know now from the research we've done, we have at least 11 infant spots open throughout the county on the child care provider side, and I think we have 22 on the center side.
Okay.
So at least they are there.
Right.
You might have to do some driving
Right.
to connect, but so that's our child care availability map.
That's really cool.
And again, it's through economic development and the health and human services page.
And that's Sherburne County.
It's Sherburne County.
And
has
Mille
one.
Lacs County is working on something
Well,
similar?
Yes. Again, like I mentioned, the collaboration and working on sharing ideas. So Brian did send that to our group of economic developers, and I saw it right away, and I was like, okay, we gotta do this because this is awesome.
Yes.
So it's working on getting our list updated and getting that into our GIS map as well.
How do you keep that updated?
That's always the question.
I mean, so somebody goes on there and fills 5 infant spots. Now, how is that updated?
So we launched this back in March of this year, and so we're still figuring out the exact right cadence for doing updates. One thing we said initially when we contacted all of the providers, it says as soon as you have a change, just shoot me an email or give me a quick phone call and say, hey, I now have 0 infant spots. And then I go into the back end and I just change that from 1 to 0. It's easy enough for me as one person to make those updates if we get them from the providers. What we've seen is that because the providers are terribly busy, over time, the updates get kind of dated. So on the website, we do have last updated date for every provider, so you can see how accurate the information
Okay.
is. But we are finding that we will probably do about a quarterly or probably quarterly cadence of either myself or somebody else, probably me, will reach out to all of our providers again and say, hey, just checking on an update as well, because it's worth getting at least quarterly updated information.
Yeah.
And then we find too that if the providers have outdated information and someone's calling them from the website, they'll give us a call and say, hey, I'm getting all these calls. I don't have any availability. We'll
Got
say,
it.
great,
Yeah.
we'll get that updated.
Yeah, but
so
you
it's in their best interest.
But
to
you
keep it
really have to
updated.
rely on people, or
We do, and we're trying to make it as seamless as possible for the providers because we know they're busy. So we didn't want to create another username and password
Yeah.
for them to
Yep.
to enter. It's just they all have my email address. They all have my phone number. They can call after hours and leave a quick message and say, hi, this is Jane Doe. I now have zero availability, and within 1 business days, we'll get that updated.
And I know that I used to work in early childhood, and I would visit in-home daycares and do story time, and there was always one person per county that kind of represented all of the child care. I don't know if it was just in-home or do they still have that?
For
that,
licensing.
well, yeah, all that kind of stuff where they just had the one person that would hand this information. They would email them and say, this is what you need to do. Have you done this yet? Or something new that's coming out. And I know Sherburne County, I feel like it used to be a Bonnie Menchek, or that maybe that was Mille Lacs County, but it was always like a designated person who represented the whole community of in-home childcare.
Yeah, so at Mille Lacs County, we have Michaela Wilcox. That is our family child care licensor, and she does all of like the annual updates with them, their license update, visits, etc. So
Okay. And does she do childcare, or does she work for the county?
she works for the county.
Okay.
Yep. So she's very good at keeping everything updated. So like we have it already on our website. You can get the list of providers, and then it has their address and phone number. So we have that. Now it's just kind of like the mapping. I mean, that visual thing is really
Right.
going to be helpful. So, Michaela is really good at keeping that information updated on her webpage. Centers are a little bit different. They're licensed by the state, so they're a little bit different. But still keeping in touch with them is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, same on the Sherburne County side. We have our licensor, Anna Burns is our main licensor, and so all of our in-home providers know her by name. They have her phone number for the licensing side, and she will send out a newsletter which has some of the economic development updates too, so which is why we work so closely. I do know that there are some associations, like our child care centers are all, most of them are involved in a child care association to advocate for, legislation changes in the state.
That's maybe what I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
So
Yeah.
there are associations that
Okay.
A lot of our providers do belong to.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, and there's one in Mille Lacs County too that does that. Yep.
Maybe is what I was thinking of, which I thought was really cool, because, you have one representative that, one go-to person
Speak to it,
on
yeah.
that side, yeah.
Yeah, and the ones in Mille Lacs County, they get together
Mhm.
every so often to do a training together.
Yes.
Right, like so they
Yep.
bring a trainer in, they kind of do like a potluck or whatever. And that is really, I think that's just really good for them, for that social aspect
Yeah.
for them too, right? Because they're with kids all day and
Yep.
Right.
they get that adult time. So I know it wasn't, it was really busy, and then I think COVID, like
Yep.
everything shakes things up, right? And so kind of fell by the wayside of getting so many together, but there's still a group. There's continuing to try to encourage more and more providers to go to that. I think it's really important that they stay connected.
Yeah, I agree. Like any other business, or
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I should probably do a quick plug for Milestones, the organization. So they have something called the Shared Service Alliance that our child care providers can opt into. And part of that Shared Service Alliance is offering substitutes that can work in the home. So if that provider needs to go on a doctor's visit or do some of these trainings, there's a sub pool now that's growing that they can tap
Wow.
into.
That's really cool.
They definitely want to talk to Milestones about the actual details on that, but that's one thing we saw a need for is these poor in-home providers,
Yeah.
if they are sick or gone, the whole thing shuts down.
Right.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
affects 10 families.
Right.
So this sub pool is something we're very excited to see grow, and that's through Milestones.
Very cool.
We'll have to
So-
put all these links in the
I
comments.
know, yeah. I
Remember
know,
to
we have
do
a
that.
lot, yeah.
Yeah, we're dot connectors.
Yeah, yeah, dot connectors. So you guys have talked about how you bounce ideas off each other, and
Yes.
you meet and talk about how things are going well or not so well. How do you collaborate with cities, chambers, other community organizations?
I'd say very similar to this, where as far as the chambers of commerce, we make sure that we're as active as possible in the chambers, because the chambers, you guys are really oftentimes the front lines to the businesses, and the businesses will go to you before they'll go to the county. And so we work really closely with the chambers, try to become an ambassador of each of the chambers, and so that we can reach out to the new businesses as well. So absolutely that. And working with the cities, I feel very fortunate that in Sherburne County, we have a handful of cities, and so it's easy for me to just touch base with our community development teams whenever we need to. And so, obviously first name basis, they're on speed dial and vice versa. So I think it's harder for some larger counties that might have 20 cities and 20 different staffs to keep track of. We're at just 6 or 7, and that's easy enough for me to stay in really close touch with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one thing that I made a priority when I came on, is having that connection and that relationship. I don't feel that it was there before. When I started, I had a lot of comments of, it's so nice to have somebody to talk to at the county, or I had no idea that your position even existed.
Yeah.
So that's been huge for me, is making sure that I am staying in touch with our cities. Like Stacy in Princeton, her and I, we have like a monthly check-in, and we just talk about what's going on, maybe it's, did you hear this, or where's the status, how would you feel about this, etc. It could just be like, hey, how's life, just to check in and stuff. So that's been really nice, just to have that monthly check-in. We have it on our calendar, we know that's our time. So just going out and visiting with the cities. I try to pop into the cities if I'm in the area. I try to stop in and say hi.
Yeah.
Just really quick, just to make like, hey, is there anything going on? Do you need anything from us? That kind of thing, just to check in.
So nice.
And then chambers, that was a thing. I said I really want to be involved in the chambers, and again have that relationship with the chambers, with the businesses, because like you said, I mean, that's a really good way to get out there and in front of them, and they might have those thoughts of, okay, I'm ready to grow, but where do I start?
Right.
And that that they might be thinking about that. So having us there is a good resource. And like you said, it doesn't matter what age the business is. We can help with succession planning too.
Right.
So
and it is so important, especially for a place like Princeton, because your office is located in Elk River, yours is located in Mille Lacs. So I feel like kind of out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, totally.
And so to have a person that is around and, hey, don't forget, we can help you with this. We're a resource. We're a dot connector. It's just having that person is just huge. It's like I said, especially for a place like Princeton, because it's not like you drive by your office all the time. You just kind of, you lose connection.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They'd be
so
good
that's great.
speakers for chamber luncheon.
It's happening.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yep. It's happening for sure.
Perfect.
So what do you think? What are some businesses or any certain industries or anything you guys are looking at that you'd like to see grow in your counties?
Anything really. I mean, that sounds so vague, but really, I mean, we are a welcoming county to businesses, and we want to see the economic growth. We want to see, like we did just go through a comp plan and looked at our land use and where it makes sense for development. Right. I mean, we don't want like just a random manufacturing company like way out in the middle of a township. So where does it make sense? So aligning with that, but. We're welcoming businesses. The city of Mille Lacs has an expansion out by the junction, so just south of the liquor store. Yep. They have an expansion there. The city of Isle has an expansion happening. Of course, Princeton has expansion happening. So there is opportunity available. I would say if you're interested, please contact us and we can connect you and see what site would work best for you.
Well, and Mille Lacs County is interesting because the further north you get, the more it's, your state parks and it's more open land, and which is how it's meant to be. It's not like you're going to plop a manufacturing, site there or anything. But so it's interesting, the southern part of Mille Lacs versus the northern.
Totally.
Completely different.
Totally.
Situations there. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And that's what I always say. We're very different from our southern region to our northern region. and it's important to represent both sides.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
And I'd say Sherburne County's response would be yes, and obviously we want any business that's interested, we'll come and chat with you. I think our specific marketing campaign and what we're going toward is our three major industries in the county are manufacturing, transportation, and logistics, and then it's kind of split between healthcare and education.
Okay.
So we really like when manufacturers consider us to move into. We have a lot of great industrial land, and it's zoned for it. It's ready for it in Becker, Big Lake, St. Cloud, Elk River. I think even Princeton and Baldwin have some. So it's really getting a business to say we're considering opening a second location, or we're considering just launching, and then having me connect in with those cities and connect and have that three-way conversation of what can the county do for you, what is the city's role in this, and really they end up working very closely with the city. But
yes.
I'd say for us, really manufacturing is a great employment opportunity in our county. We see really great paying jobs out of it.
Yeah.
We see more and more our manufacturers are saying, hey, we'll take kids right out of high school. In fact, we're going to go into the high school and kind of scout around
That's
for the
right.
junior high. So we work really closely with the school districts too,
Okay.
on that workforce development track. But
Exactly.
we're open for business, and especially manufacturing. But and me personally, I'm interested in. We have such robust farmers markets throughout our county that we are trying to develop a clearer roadmap for people to start at a farmer's market, but then how do you sell into a grocery store? How do you ship across state lines? That requires a different license. Do you know what that is? And so it's our job as the county, or my role, to help with that navigation as well, because
That
we
is
have some
so
really
nice.
Yeah.
strong food and drink entrepreneurs as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I hope that businesses know, or hopefully this will help if they don't, because there are just so many resources that you both have available to our businesses. And one thing I want to talk about for our listeners about how this all works together. Economic development, community development, the school district, the city, the chamber. I mean, tourism, everything just works together, and it makes a community stronger. Because I know you hear sometimes, we don't want the growth, we don't want business. Well, but we don't want our taxes to go up.
You can't have both.
You can't.
Yeah.
You just can't have both.
Yep.
So you're either going to have growth, so that your tax base can be spread out, more, or you're not. And your taxes are going to continue to increase. So I don't know if you have anything to say about that, but
nothing in return.
it's just a message
Yeah.
that I wish people would more understand how it all works together.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is probably the silver lining of it, and the message of, you think of a pie, and do you want large chunks of pie with your tax dollars? Do you want to spend more, or have that growth and see your pie get smaller because there's more people to share that
Right.
tax
Right,
base with?
exactly.
Yeah.
And I'd always recommend to folks that don't like the growth to do a little bit of research and reach out to a community that is in decline and that is
Yeah, that's
experiencing a loss of maybe a major employer or a loss of population, and see what it's like for them. And maybe
great
that
idea.
will kind of open their eyes to like, oh, decline is actually generally not a positive thing. It really sends the town and the county into a bit of a spiral. And so if we're going to spiral, we want to be spiraling up, not spiraling down.
That's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
The other analogy we like to use a lot, and I'm stealing this from our county administrator, Bruce, so if he sees this, but we look at all these different layers, so the city, the township, the county, the school districts, the chambers, instead of like a 7-layer cake, it's like a marbled cake.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we're all talking to each other, it's all kind of interconnected, so we like the marbling effect, and that's kind of how we explain
Yeah.
why we're all trying to help each other.
And then that in
makes
turn
sense.
just helps the community as a whole, community members, and there's more available, and your taxes are lower, and it's just thriving. I mean, so it's just so important to have all those.
There's so many people that, this is why I moved here, because it was small, and they just are so against any type of growth.
And and it's not like we want necessarily to be Minneapolis.
Right.
But it's okay to, a manufacturer is a great thing to bring to your community.
Yeah.
It brings jobs and growth and all positive things. So,
Education is key.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in the same breath, we want to have that public involvement. We want that discourse because we don't want to come in and say we know everything. So it's important to have those public forums. So
Absolutely.
if you want your voice heard, go into the public forums, go into the public events where you can express your opinion. We do want people to express that and
Absolutely.
have those conversations.
Yes, and I feel like when that does happen, when people actually do show up, they get questions answered that they're like, oh, okay, well, I didn't know that.
Right.
They're
Right.
just listening to all the buzz that's
Yes.
happening around them, and, everything you read online, they think, oh, that must be true.
Yeah, if it's on the Facebook
Exactly.
bulletin board, it
Yeah.
must be true.
Go
Exactly.
find out for yourself.
Yeah.
And then, you might walk away thinking,
You can learn so much.
yeah.
At those public events, you really do learn a lot, and the reasoning with it, and it helps understand like the mission and goals of the community as a whole, right?
Right.
I mean, like that's really important to understand too, and why it's happening, what why it maybe makes sense, and then their eyes are opened, and
Right.
and then they're like, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. Like you said, like we're not going to turn into Minneapolis,
Yeah.
Right.
and it's definitely not going to happen overnight.
Right.
So, and I think that goes back to being proud of your community and still showing off the really positive things that are here, and growth is certainly a positive change.
Yeah.
So,
And a good example of that public engagement is we have ongoing work on Highway 169.
yes.
And we're
Yeah.
very excited about that. And it's a positive thing. And this year into next year, we'll be getting that stoplight removed on 169 right at Zimmerman
Yep.
and doing an, what are those called?
Roundabout?
Roundabouts, yep, underneath. And having that be a straight corridor. And we know that that's a big change. And so we're working with Bolton and Mink. They're the ones kind of coordinating that project with us and with the
Yeah.
state. And Bolton and Mink has a website. So again, if anyone's interested in information about the 169 project, it's on our economic development page, front page, where you can go to the Bolton and Mink's website, and they have all the construction updates. So whenever this will be closed or that will be closed, and why they're closing it, and what part of the process they're on.
Yeah, and people just need to have patience. I
That's,
mean, that Elk River was such a mess, but it's so nice now.
Oh, I mean,
To
that's
just
all I
fly
hear.
right through.
I just hear that constantly, how great it is. So yeah, it is kind of a pain when it's happening, no
course.
doubt about it.
Right.
But
Yep.
the accidents that have happened and the people that have been killed at that Zimmerman intersection, it's so needed. It's really kind of incredible how many people fly through that light when it's red.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
I always, in fact, I tell my kids that too. When you're turning out from Zimmerman onto 169 and that light turns green for you, look both ways.
Yeah.
I always look when I cross that. Even if I have a green light, I slow down and I
Yes.
look to make sure that somebody's not gonna just.
Yeah. Yep.
There's just too much that has
Yep.
happened.
Yeah, so that's going to be just a
Thank you
fantastic
for
improvement.
working on
yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think communication just goes so far. Like your guys' project, the way that it's been communicated with the public is huge, and that's been a really big success. And I think just carrying, that transparency, open communication
Yep.
of the why and the what's to be anticipated, I think that's huge.
It is
I
huge,
agree.
and I see it often.
Yeah.
About updates.
And one thing we're starting up early next year, once the road work really ramps up, is we'll be working with Bolton and Mink to do business spotlights. So we know that businesses are impacted, and so we'll be reaching out to the business owners again. We reached out to business owners on the County Road 4 project, but we'll be reaching out to the businesses that are on the 169 corridor and figuring out ways to help encourage business continue through the construction, because we know it impacts business. We want to be here for the businesses and help them to keep the foot traffic and keep their customers happy.
You must have worked closely with Debbie at Elk River at the chamber.
Yeah,
Because there
absolutely.
was a lot of, it was just great.
She
it was
sends
just,
out a ton of stuff.
Yeah, that was very, I was just really impressed with the number of posts that were going out and promoting the businesses and informing the businesses about now this, or the public generally.
Yeah.
Here's what's closing now, and then this is going to reopen, and don't forget about this business that you might have to go
She did-
around the way.
yeah.
Or, it was well done. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we've forgotten that you want to chat about at all? I mean, I know we had this long list of questions, but we kind of talked about so many different things as we went along.
I'd say the only other plug that we want to make sure we get out there is on the home ownership side. So we, as a county, now have a housing trust fund, which is money set aside to help with the housing needs of moderate to all the way down for income levels of housing. And I struggle to say that because one of the programs we have coming out of that is our homeowner rehabilitation loan program. So those for homeowners that own their home and they live in their home and they need, if they have any failing or faulty systems, if they need energy efficiency upgrades, or if they have accessibility needs that they need upgrades for, they can look into our program. And our program is different because it's a $20,000 up to a $20,000 loan, but it's only at 3.5% interest.
Oh,
and they pay it out
nice.
over 10 years. And the way why it's 3.5% interest is it's a special assessment tax on their property. So it actually is a property tax that goes onto their property over 10 years' time to pay for that
Oh.
project.
Okay.
And
So it's not a direct, like you get a statement in the mail every month to
Right.
write out a check or whatever.
No, yeah, it's
Okay.
more, it goes along just like your
Interesting.
taxes. So
Okay.
you'll see probably most people, their mortgage payments will go up,
Yeah.
for that set amount in that
Yeah.
10-year period. But we see that it's helpful because people can apply directly to our program if they apply first to the state's fix-up loans programs,
Mm-hmm.
which we can help people do. That's part of the process, is helping them through this step. So they apply for that first, the state's programs. If they don't qualify for those, they can apply to our program first. And if they do qualify for some of the state's programs, if their project still costs more than what they're approved for, then they can apply for ours as like a rider or secondary.
Okay, yeah.
Cool.
We see often for that program, people need a credit score of at least 620 or 680, depending on the program. So for our homeowners that don't have that credit score or some other factors that would exclude them from that, it's one of the only programs they can do to actually finance some of these projects that are needed on their house.
That's so nice because
Very.
otherwise some people, they're just stuck.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing more they can do. It's
No.
like, that's the end.
The
Yeah,
roof is
you're-
Yeah.
leaking and-
You're
Yep.
stuck,
Yeah.
and it becomes not a safe place for you and
Exactly.
your family, or you have to sell for pennies on the dollar, or do
Yes.
a foreclosure, or we're trying to prevent all those and keep our it a safe place to live, as well as being able to have those houses be sold on the open market for what they deserve to be
Yeah,
sold for.
exactly.
Yeah. So all that information's on the economic development site too.
Okay.
We will do our best.
Yeah,
to, like,
we'll get
post
that
all
linked
these
for you.
things.
Yeah, we will. We'll get that linked.
Let me get those posted.
Any plugs you'd like to make, Lainey?
Yeah, similar to Brian, we do have a housing trust fund set up as well now. We're still working on the programming side of it, but we are looking at different needs, what is needed in our communities, or is it development projects coming into the communities? So for that housing trust fund, so yeah, same thing, we're excited about that, and we're ready to get programming put into it and look
Awesome.
forward. Yeah, it's exciting.
Very cool.
You guys are doing a lot of good.
My gosh,
lot of
yeah,
good
and a lot of work. Yeah.
Try to.
Yeah, and yeah.
Variety. I mean, it's
Yes.
Yes.
Every day is something different, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yes, that's entirely true.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we're here to help, and if we don't have the answers, we know someone in the county that does, or the city, or the
Yes,
township.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So feel free to ask us a question, even if it has nothing to do with anything, because we'll find the answer for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I mean, you really are, like you said, the dot connectors. That's such a good description
Yeah,
about what you do.
definitely.
Yeah. Well, since we all know how busy you are, we really thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, yeah, this
Absolutely.
was going to be great information for everybody.
It
So,
will be.
yeah, so until next time, this is Kim and Mary signing off. This is Princeton. Stay here,
Play here.